Okay, so in this segment, we're going to talk about cam followers. The small horsepower cars, as well as Phantom 1, were blessed to have roller type cam followers, which was really quite advanced for a car that was designed, an engine I should say, that was designed in the 1920s. This is the roller and the pin. So, you know, it's really quite a neat design. So the Phantom 1s have this, the 20s, the 2025s, and the Derby Bentleys. Unfortunately, they didn't follow suit for Phantom 2 and Phantom 3, which used a blade type follower, and they tend to have issues with wear. So as you can see, I have all but 2 in, so I'm going to demonstrate installing 2 of them so you can see how they go in. But first I want to talk about the follower itself. Let me just move things around here a little bit. To get the pins in and out easily without distorting or pinching in the fork, we have this tool here. So the follower goes in like such, and then you use this pin to push it out in an arbor press. Normally does it. Push it right out, you can get the roller out, and away you go. And then you do the same thing for putting the new pin in. So as you can see, this follower, you can see that amount of wear there. You can also see wear on the roller part of it. So you know, this is one that really is past due for replacement. And this is just a sample one. This one is not one that I was going to put into this engine. So, and I'll show you another one here. So on this one, this really has a lot more wear in the pin area, and that kind of wear is pretty common. So now you can't put it in this state, which would be nice if you could. You could do that if the cylinder block was not on yet. You could put all these in and then put your cylinder block on. But unfortunately, you can't do that. I think on maybe some of the later series you can, but it just doesn't happen with these. So you have to put them in piece by piece. You know, the roller part of it first, and etc., etc. So anyway, so I'll demonstrate that. I figured doing 2 was enough to give an example of how they all go. Let me just show you what it's like down inside that area. Take the camera. So you can see down in there, it's kind of tough. And you can see that there's areas like a splined area for the follower to keep the roller in line with the lobe of the camshaft. So I'm sure people are going to be curious to know about the coating that's in there. That's Gliptol, and Gliptol is primarily used inside electric motors. It's a very, very durable enamel coating. I put that in that area in order to cut back on rusting that can develop in there, and it also helps with oil to flow down in there as it builds up in there, instead of just keep caking on and on. Let me see if I can put my light up over on here. Yeah, it seems to work well. And you can also see that the studs are handy for hanging wrenches on. So now you saw down in there, so let's get a follower in. So I like to coat them up nicely with oil. Make sure we have the right follower. As you can see, they're numbered. There's the little scribe number. Make sure that is in focus there. So that's actually a 6 that was originally etched in there. So now we want to put the lobe in we want to put the follower in so the roller is going to roll on the lobe properly. So it's going to be like that. And just line that up there. Sometimes they just drop right down in there, and other times it takes a little bit more to finagle them down. But they go. And there it is. And then we take our spring. Again, whenever we encounter a spring like this, valve springs, clutch springs, cam follower springs, replace them. Put new ones in. Don't fool with the old ones. The old ones have lost their temper and their strength. So then we put this piece in, sort of like the upper part of the guide, and then to keep the spring kind of compressed and in place, we put the adjuster in. And as you can tell, it's a pretty tight little area to have to work in. Sometimes it helps to use a screwdriver to hold down that upper guide to kind of compress the spring down a little. Once you have that started a bit, that's all you'll need for right this moment. So there's number 5 in place. Now we're going to put in number 6. Make sure your roller is nice and free and that you don't have any more of that slop in it anymore. Feels good. Coat it up with oil. Make sure it's lined up right. And flop her in. Okay. Spring. Make sure you get your spring down in there nicely. And then our upper guide part, and you can see it has flats on this part, which is going to align with the bridge portion that holds everything down in place. We also have flats here. I believe that's probably for oil flow to go down in there. Get that guy in there. Little screwdriver guy in here. And the follower, the adjuster. Make sure all your adjuster threads are nice and free. Otherwise you're not going to be very happy with yourself when you go to adjust your valves. Again, you have to remember, this is your valve adjustment here. It's not up top like on some of the later cars. You'll notice it's down in here. Whenever you do your valve adjustments, you got to take these covers off and go down in here with some nice thin spanners and a lot of patience. Like I say, later cars, the adjustment was up top, which required a larger tappet cover, or I should say rocker cover, since the tappet cover is the one down here. Now we got that place. Get your flats positioned there. Sometimes you got to use a little wrench to make it a little easier for yourself. Alright. And then this is a handy wrench for doing such a thing. Then we take our bridge piece. I normally like to have the part number on the outside. It makes life a little easier if we can rotate the cam to where both the followers are down, so we're not working against the spring. Ooh, there it goes. There it went, and there's nothing back again. You take a screwdriver again to hold this down. And then we put the nut on. Of course, that's a special nut. I wouldn't want to use an ordinary nut. Whoop. Rolls-Royce was always very interested in using special fasteners for just about everything. Yeah, that's a little easier from this side of it. Sometimes it takes a little bit to get that thread to catch. And once it does, then take it down. All right. Tighten it down. There's no known torque figure for this. The only thing we have torque figures for on these engines is cylinder heads, main bearings, and connecting rods. They didn't have torque wrenches back in this day. At least they didn't use them widely, if they did have any. So they didn't really have any torque figures established. That was all established by what they deemed as an experienced fitter. And the experienced fitter would use Tommy bars of certain lengths so that they would not over tighten, and they knew how it felt. Torque wrenches are more for people such as in mass production that didn't have the feel of how tight something should be or not. They weren't experienced fitters per se. They were just people working on an assembly line, putting things together. So we get a good feel on how tight that should be. And then I like to thread down the adjusters the whole way. I won't torture you with watching that happen. So, and then there we have it. Now we have our two followers in, 5 and 6. We'll rotate it around, watch them go up and down. So we know that they're nice and free and working as they should. Sure, goes up, down, up, down. And I'm going to look at the other ones while I'm at it. Yeah, that one's going up and down nicely. That one's going up and down nicely. That one, that one, that one. Okay. So now we're in pretty good shape here. Another nice piece of the puzzle coming together. So there you have it. The cam followers are in. I'll pan back a little bit so that you can see the rest of the engine. And it's coming along. There it is.